Thank you very much, Chip, and thank you very much to everybody for this fantastic opportunity to talk. Uh, this is the Italian experience in the last 2 years in which we were not in contact. It's fantastic, however, to share with you some new things from Italy. This is my agenda: new cases, new phenotypes, looking for forgotten cases, the Ithaca project, a new insight in the neuroimaging, a new insight from the research. As you maybe remember, some years ago, a couple of years ago, we collected the first cohort of patients in different Italian centers with DADA2, with different phenotype, mainly rheumatological phenotype and different clinical manifestation. What I was, we were surprised to see, indeed, in the last 2 years, plenty of other patients come. We collaborate since we have we are the place in which we provide the enzymatic activity in Italy, and also the genetic, the molecular screening, not the only one, but we let's say concurred in the recognition or 10 patients with different, also new diseases, with different conditions and with different phenotypes. So the number is very high. I would like to talk about some cases that are, in my opinion, interesting. Fabio, at least for us, was some surprise, let's say, because there is the story of Fabio that has age of 7, just myositis, and then low-grade fever and splenomegaly and diffuse lymphodenomegaly. It was very clear cut an ALPS-like disease. The immunological workup, it was completely normal, immunoglobulins and also the lymphocyte subset. He has an inflammatory infiltrated the muscle biopsy, and the most important things were also the lymph node that, of course, were negative for malignancy. Then from March, he started to have a fever, persistent fever, arthralgia, and he did a NGS approach on the 60 genes that we do, and it did came out to have an homozygous variant of ADA2, and the enzymatic activity was confirmed. The enzymatic activity, the pathogenic role of this variant, with this different strange phenotype of an ALPS-like manifestation that came back in several patients. And also in this patient from Monza, we have this collaboration with the group of hematologists in Monza that describe these two patients that have this heterozygous mutation, the same mutation of Fabio and this one. Was quite interesting in this patient that the clinical presentation was very mild, just some lymphoproliferation and hypogammaglobulinemia in this patient. And the older son, the other brother, was pretty much asymptomatic. And both have a clear-cut enzymatic defect. Was quite interesting and a little bit important to see that this patient, like previously observed in some Finnish cases some years ago, presented these large granular lymphocytes in the blood smear, and also clear sign of T cells perturbation. This is something that we have to take into account in this patient in the future, the follow-up concerning possible perturbation of T cell, because some patients can have T cell leukemia in adulthood. Another important message is coming from this 42-year patient that since the age of 8 have recurrent fever, persistent elevation of acute phase reactant, hypogammaglobulinemia, renal phenomenon, a sudden hearing loss at the age of 9, then cutaneous vasculitis, stroke, hypertension. He received a number of different drugs, and at a certain point, he came out after an NGS panel because of suspicion when he was 42 that could be another 2. That was the cases. He came for the genetic analysis, and the enzymatic activity was pathogenic, and now he's receiving anti-TNF treatment. But this came out now more and more on many patients that we are making the diagnosis in adulthood with a very long disease course and plenty of a big burden of the disease. So that's why we arrived to the second point, looking for the forgotten cases. The ITACA project, the ITACA project is a project to find out in different centers, especially adult centers that are looking for vasculitis, adult vasculitis, possible ADA2 patient. Is a great effort. We would like to also make a sensitization also for adult and pediatric centers of hematology for the cases of strange cytopenia. And of course, we offer the enzymatic test and molecular diagnosis at the Gazzini Institute. And we would like to include in a common national registry that is an overlap of different specialties for that. I think this is very important, and we are discovering more and more cases. New insight on in neuroimaging. It was quite nice in our institute. Our neuroradiologist, together with Roberta Gaossi, let's say, try to collect all the information on 12 adult patients from 6 centers, and they follow all the magnetic resonance from baseline to the follow-up. 2 different neurologists make a very detailed description of the whole imagings, and was quite interesting to see the characteristic, the classical intracranial hemorrhagic manifestation, the acute brain ischemic infarct, the chronic brain ischemic infarct, some very strange features such this perivascular enhancing tissue that was observed in 3 patients and completely went away with the use of anti-TNF inhibitors. In some patients, a classical manifestation, acute manifestation of posterior encephalopathy that was reversible after treatment, and some patients with intracranial aneurysm and also chronic brain and medullary ischemic infarct. So this paper that is now on publication will give a complete overview on the MRI in this patient. New insight from research this year, this paper from our group, Francesca Schiena, described the impact on B cells and T cells of ADA2 activity. There is, of course, this impaired proliferation and secretion of IgG, of immunoglobulin by B cells, and Francesca was able to show the defect of ADA2 activity in B cells in patient, and she also described the T part of the story, especially an expansion of follicular helper T cells with a relevant functional defect. And again, Francesca was able to understand that indeed both an intrinsic defect of B cells, but also a deficiency helper activity of T cells in co-stimulation assay are responsible for the hypoglobulin or the lack of production or decreased production of immunoglobulin in these patients. I would like to finish also my presentation with a huge effort from another institute in Italy, the San Raffaele Institute in Milan. I gave this slide to the courtesy of Alessandra Mortellaro that will present the whole project later on during the meeting. And I think it's very fascinating, this preclinical approach and the correction with lentivirus of the DADA2 macrophage mediated inflammation. You can see in the possibility to down-modulate the expression and the secretion of IL-6 and TNF after the lentiviral correction in macrophage from our patient with DADA2. This is a very promising effort, and we will discuss during our meeting. Just to finish, I think is a good news for our world of ADA2 deficiency, the fact that the Ministry for Health provide a specific grant for ADA2, and the grant has been provided for the two institutes, Istituto Gaslini and San Raffaele Hospital, and the aim is indeed to improve the diagnosis in Italy, especially in the specialties in which we have to find new patients, the ITALCA study, to better characterize the patient with a prevalent hematological phenotype. We would like to go into detail, as many in the world, on this particular and very severe aspect. And as you see, I've seen from the picture of the slide of Alessandra, to develop the gene therapy approach in this condition. And this is what are doing our friends in the San Raffaele Hospital. So many other things, many things are happening, new patients, new information, the research is ongoing. We have to struggle a lot to increase our capability to recognize these patients. And I think it will be a great effort in the next year. I would like to thank everybody in Genoa, in the Gaslini Institute, that helped me a lot in this project, people in the lab and in the clinic, especially Francesca Schena and Federica Penco in the lab, and all the people, the Italian study group for vasculitis, and the group of Alessandro Aiuti and the group of Alessandra Mortellaro in the TIGET in Milan for the collaboration, important collaboration that we are going on that. Thank you very much.